killed by at least one test case. And the mutation score is basically measured using the percentage of mutants that are killed and versus over all possible mutants. Some mutants you cannot kill, you cannot distinguish. So that will affect the mutation score. Okay, you want to be able to detect as many mutants as possible. So those are some basic concepts, a little bit abstract, I guess, at this point, and I hope when we get to the two specific mutation testing approaches, we are going to get a better idea. So next we're going to talk about program-based mutation testing. So the main idea is that the program being tested is considered to be a ground string, okay, accepted by the grammar of the program, as we mentioned earlier. And the mutation operators in this context are defined to create mutants of the ground string. So with the mutants, it's really like you're going to make a minor change to the original program, and that is a mutant. And that minor change, each minor change you make basically represents a possible mistake the programmer could make. Okay. We're going to see an example of that. Okay. Or you can use mutation operators to force certain types of tests to be created. We're also going to see examples. And the test case is effective if it can kill at least one mutant. So from a certain perspective, you can consider each mutant, to simplify the discussion, each mutant represents one possible bug the program could contain. So a test case, if you want a test case to be effective, okay, the test case should be able to kill at least one mutant. You should be able to detect at least one bug that may exist. Right, we're going to say, let us look at the example first and see what this means. Okay. So let's say we have a program on the left-hand side. That's the original program. Okay. So what we're going to do, if you keep in mind the context I mentioned earlier, like using mutation testing to evaluate different techniques, the effectiveness of different testing techniques. So what we do is that we're going to seed a number of bugs into the program in a systematic way. And then we're going to, this systematic seeding is supposed to contain the representative bugs the programmer could hide in the program. Then you can apply different techniques to see how many bugs you could detect. So the way for us to see bugs in the program is to make a minor change. Each time, make a minor change to the program. Okay? So on the right-hand side, we have each line with a star represents one minor change we make to the program. That represents one mutant. Okay. So in this example, we could create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mutants of the original program. And each mutant, let's look at that. Like, for example, this one. Okay. So when I say this represents a mutant, what this means is that we are going to replace this line with the previous line. So in this case, we're going to replace this line of code, okay, with this one. The rest of the program does not change. That represents 1 unit. Okay. Can you see like what it means when we say mutant represents a possible mistake? Mimic the possible mistake that would be made by the program. Or represents one possible bug that we may have. Can you see that? What does that? See here, imagine the mutant would be the same, exactly the same as this program. The only difference is that the first assignment is mean value equals b instead of a. So that represents a bug in the sense that the programmer may have made a mistake. It's supposed to put a on the right-hand side of the assignment, right? But the programmer made a mistake, put b on the right-hand side. If you want a test case to be effective in terms of detecting this bug, what you have to have? Let's see if we have a test case. You want to check whether this test case can detect this bug or not. What you have to have? So let's say we have two programs side by side. One is the original program. The other program, the same as the original program. The only difference is that the first assignment has mean value equals b. If you want to detect this bug, if you want to have a test case that can detect this bug, what you want to have? What properties the test case has to have to detect this bug?
Semi-equal different output.
So when you apply the test case to the two programs, they must have different outputs, right? Otherwise, the test case cannot tell which one is mutant, which one is the original program. Does it make sense? So in this case, if the two programs produce different outputs, then we say the test case kills the mutant. It basically detects the bug, right? This context. You have to be able to tell which one is the mutant, which one is the original program. To do that, you have to expose some different behavior between the two. Okay, otherwise you cannot tell which one is mutant, which one is the original program. I guess the terminology is that you create a mutant, and as long as you can tell which one is the mutant, you have to kill it, right? We don't want mutant. Just like cancer cells, right? The applications of your good cells. But as long as you can tell which one is cancer cell, you have to kill it. So from a certain perspective, when we say a test case kills a mutant, it's basically a test case. You can use that test case to tell which one is mutant, which one is the original. And that means they can have different outputs. So that's the basic idea. So for the as another example, if we look at this one, okay, so the mutant it represents is basically the same as the original program. The only difference, okay, that is represented by this line, okay, the star line, is that you can replace this if statement, okay, with this one. So the original program would have everything the same, okay? The only difference between this original program and the mutant represented by this one is that you're going to replace the if statement with that, with the star line. So what it represents is it simulates a mistake the programmer could make. So you are supposed to check the condition B smaller than A. But the programmer may have a misunderstanding about the business logic, right? Or the program just had a typo. right? It's supposed to put less than symbol over there, but you put a greater. And that is a potential bug that you could find in your program. Okay. If you want the test case to detect that bug, you apply the same test case to the original program and to the program that has the bug. They should have different outputs. That's the idea. And similarly, like this one also represents the mutant, like that you would create by replacing this 9 in the original program with this one. Okay. So the notation is that it's not like the whole thing is one mutant. Okay, it's each 9 of code that has a star. Okay, to begin with, represents one mutant. Okay, that mutant is exactly the same as the original program. The only difference is that you replace the previous 9, the 9 preceding the 9 in the original program that precedes the star 9 with the star 9. That's how you create.
Is this mutant use missing branching or just the minimum value?
Minimum value.
I also noticed that they are missing curly bracket.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a typo. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
replace with
Yeah.
a curly brace. Yeah.
And also I noticed that even we have curly brace, we also have this mutant is not detectable.
It's not what?
It's not killable.
Well, that's a different story.
Oh.
Okay, whether it is killable or killable or not, that's a different story. But that's a mutant. That's how you
Okay.
create a mutant. You just you minus
Yeah,
change
so
one
some,
minus change to the
some
program.
possible mutant is not even.
Right. We are going to discuss that. You have some equivalent mutants that you can never kill. Yeah. So I want to mention that two other particular mutation operators, okay, special ones like bomb. Okay. So this one basically, as long as you get to that point when you execute. So basically, you create a mutant by replacing this. This is the statement in the original program, right? With this statement. Okay. If you want to kill this mutant, so I guess the behavior is that whenever you execute the bomb statement, the whole program is going to explode, right? It's going to fail. So if you want to kill this mutant, what you have to do? Just to get to that point.
Yeah.
So this kind of mutation operator basically replace the program in the original program with this special statement is to make sure you generate a test case that can get to that point. As long as you get to that point, you're going to kill the mutant. Okay. And the same here, fail on 0 is the same. So if you want to kill this mutant, you have to make sure P is 0. So these kind of operators are defined to force, that's what we have here, to force certain types of tests to be created during mutation testing. Any questions about the basic idea of mutation, like mutants, like how we use mutants to mimic potential bugs that you have in your program? And then the idea is that you're going to create, for example, after you define the mutation operator, which we will see, like some common mutation operators, you're going to apply it systematically. Every place, okay, that the mutation operator could be applied. You're not going to be selective. You're not going to choose. Being systematic, the advantage is that it will help you to get a fair evaluation. Okay, that's all possible bugs that you could have, right? In theory, in a program, and when you apply different testing techniques, you can see how many bugs you have. Okay. And another point I want to mention is that a very important principle in mutation testing is that each time you only apply one minor change. You cannot combine multiple changes together to create a mutant. For one thing, if you do the combination, you can have a huge number of mutants, right? Even without combination, as you can imagine, like one mutation operator, for example, you can replace a less than operator with a greater operator. Because that's one possible mistake the programmer could make. You could have a lot of mutants. Okay, from a certain perspective, there are so many different types of ways to make mistakes, right? And to simulate those possible mistakes, that's a huge number. Okay? And that is indeed the challenge of applying mutation testing to practical programs, because you have a huge number of mutants. But for the research community, there's no better way to do that. You have to do it. Okay. Fortunately, like in practice, in many cases you don't have to do it because you can read the paper, right? People say, well, this technique could be more effective for some types of programs. You don't have to do it yourself. So that's the idea. And an important principle, okay, in or finding in mutation testing is that people find, okay, test cases that are effective to kill mutants that are created by only making one minor change. Okay, they are very likely to kill mutants that are created by combining multiple changes. So the terminology, if you read the literature, is that if you only make one change, it's called first order mutants. You only make one change each time. Okay, like in this case, like you only replace A with B. That's the only change you make to create a mutant. You only replace less than operator with a greater operator. That's called first order mutants. If you do two changes together, for example, you replace A with B in the first assignment, at the same time, you replace the less than operator with the greater than operator, that is called second order mutants. Okay, and you could combine three, right? Three changes. You could make multiple changes. If it's three changes together, it's called third order mutants. So the important finding that enables mutation testing to evaluate, to do the evaluations, that if a test set is effective for to detect first order mutants, it's likely to be effective to detect higher order mutants. So that's a foundation principle of mutation testing. Without that, then mutation testing is not good. Even for research community, it's not practical, because there are just so many different ways to combine like different changes. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's an important foundation for mutation testing. You only need, in most cases, you only need to do first order mutation. Okay. From another perspective, I think intuitively, it means from a certain perspective, from the for the localization perspective, you can understand. Like after you write your program, right? At the beginning, it's very easy to detect whether the program is correct or not. When you have many bugs, it's easier for you to find a different output, right? When the two programs are almost the same, only it has one minor difference, it can be more difficult for you to detect that bug. That makes sense. So when two programs, they have minimum difference, okay? It's more difficult for you to detect that than the situation where you have two programs, they are very different. Does it make sense? So that's the intuition behind what I just mentioned. Or from another perspective, as the program gets like what should I say? I guess it's easier to detect the bugs in the beginning. Okay, in the fault localization process, as you progress, it becomes more and more difficult to detect those remaining bugs. Okay. I think you could probably think about that. And we also, like in our group, we also do some fault localization work, and that is what we observed as well. Okay, and those single line bugs are more difficult to detect than bugs that have multiple. We have multiple bugs. So come back to some basic concepts. Stillborn mutants, they are like mutants that can not syntactically correct. Okay, so you make a change, and the program cannot compile anymore. Okay, so those kind of mutants are not our interest. Okay, because we only deal with semantics. Okay. Then we have trivial mutants. That means any test case could kill the mutant. So it's not much interest as well. Then we have the concept equivalent mutants. That's what Feng mentioned. So some mutants, some changes that you make to the program, the mutant is equivalent to the original. It means for every possible input, okay, the mutant will have the same behavior as the original program. Okay. So what this means? It means those mutants can never be killed because they are equivalent to the original. Okay. And that has some implication. That can be a technical problem we have to deal with in mutation testing, because if you recall, the effectiveness of the testing technique is measured by mutation score, right? How many mutants you could kill when you apply a testing technique. So when you have like equivalent mutants, sometimes so some mutants are not killed. It's not because the technique is not effective. It's because there's no way you kill that mutant. The mutant is equivalent to the original. And you want to, when you compute mutation score, you want to identify those equivalent mutants and exclude those mutants. Because otherwise, you get some misleading score. And as you can probably derive at this point, to kill equivalent mutants is very difficult, right? Because you have to check whether the behavior of the original program is actually the same as the behavior of the mutant. In some special cases, you could do like some minor changes. You know, when you consider the context, it's not going to affect the behavior. But in general, it's undecidable problem. That's a very hard problem to deal with. Strong mutation coverage, it requires each mutant be strongly killed by at least one test. So when we say strongly kill, the test case strongly kills the mutant if and only if the output of the mutant is different from the output of the mutant. So that's probably what we do. When we see kill by default, when we see the test case kill the mutant. So let's look at this example. Let us consider the mutants to avoid any possible confusion. I will write down the mutant here. So this is the mutant we're talking about. Okay? The only difference between this mutant and the original program is this. Okay? That's the only difference. We have B here instead of A. So this mimic the potential bug we have in the program. So now the question is this. If I want to kill this mutant, want to detect this bug, what properties a test case has to say? If I want to generate a test case that can kill this mutant, what properties that test case has to satisfy?
It's small.
So this goes back to what we discussed before. So basically this is a bug, right? We have another way to look at this. If I want to detect this bug, what properties we have to satisfy? Recall what we discussed before. If I want to detect this bug, what conditions? Yeah. Okay. So first, you have to reach this line, right? Called reachability. So the test case has to make sure the program execution come to this point. So for this particular example, what is the reachability condition? It's true, right? You are always, no matter what kind of test case you are going to give, it will always come to this point. So after I come to this point, what is the second condition we have to satisfy if I want to detect this bug? So that's the original program, that's the bug. If I want to detect this bug, what is the second condition? In general, what is the second condition? Reachability, what's the second condition? Executable? Well, it's always, what do you mean by executable?
So we don't want to mess with the first and now B and then the second one. So we just without going inside the loop. And then we return
There's no,
first
you mean the
one.
inside the if?
Mhm.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, inside the condition. But that's
Okay.
when we return the then now we'll return B instead of A.
So what you are saying is that you don't want to execute this line, right? Because if you execute this line, you're going to overwrite the value, the incorrect value over there, right? But before that, there's a condition you have to satisfy. So what you are talking about probably is more about propagation. You want this value to propagate to the output, to the outside of this method, right? To return, you get returned. Because if you execute this line of code, then the incorrect value will be overwritten with the correct value B, right? Then you're not going to see it from outside. And that's propagation, okay, which we are going to discuss later. But before that, we have a condition has to satisfy. Anyone remember? Called it infestation, right? You have to create an incorrect state, right? The test case has to create an incorrect state. In this context, what if you want to detect this bug? If you want to create an incorrect state, what condition has to be satisfied?
B is,
It has to be smaller.
no, here it's,
So imagine if you debug your program, you have to check the values of every variable, right? You have to, if you look at this variable, we see an incorrect state. What does it mean?
yes,
You mean this variable has an incorrect value, right?
Yeah.
Has a value that is not as expected. What condition
A is
the
different.
input has to satisfy? What condition has to be satisfied? Okay, let me put this way. If this is 5, this is 5. Will you, if I give a test case 5, 5, can you do you produce an incorrect state?
No,
So minimum, this variable would have the correct value, right?
yeah,
What if I give 5, 6?
it's okay.
Then you will say, when you say,
Here
when you look
A
at
is state.
the value of this variable, you will say, well, I'm supposed to get 5, right? Because it's supposed to be A, right? Instead of 6. So the condition is that A
It's not
cannot be the same as B, right? If you create a test case in which A and B have the same value, I don't think you can detect this bug.
Yeah,
Does it make sense? Okay. So this is the infestation condition, but A cannot be the same as B because you want to create an incorrect state. Then we have the third condition that is satisfied, right? Called propagation. So that would be what you just mentioned. So at this point, you cannot execute this statement. Because if you execute this statement, the original program is B, this program is also B, you're going to get the same results, right? Yeah, the return value will be the same. So if you want to make sure this statement is not executed, what condition has to be satisfied?
B is bigger or smaller?
B cannot be, B cannot be smaller than A, right? Because if B is smaller than A, you're not going to detect the bug. You can try it. If B is smaller than A, we can try it, right? If I put 3 over here, okay, 5, 3, if you run the original program, what you get? 3, right? Okay, if I run it with the mutant, this has this bug, so what we get? So it's the mean value would be, so over here mean value would be 3, right? However, you're going to come to execute this is the incorrect value, right? However, when you continue to execute, B is 3, A is 5, you're going to execute this statement, right? Then mean value would be 3, right? And you're going to get 3 as well, okay? So you're not going to